Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, kinda power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi and welcome to the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast, a weekly show about the Port Adelaide Footy Club. I'm your host Macca and joining me as always we've got co-host Fishing Rick. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, great, Macca. What about you?
Always good, mate. Always good.
Good work.
It's been a
That's
good week.
what I like to hear.
And joining us for the first time on the podcast, we've got someone that normally likes to hang out in the background. We've got Lurker.
G'day. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No worries.
Yeah, good for being on.
That's the worst intro I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh.
Alright, well thanks for coming on, Lurker. Let's find out about your Port background and how you came to support Port Adelaide.
Alright, well, I was born and lived about a block away from Albert and Oval on 5th Avenue, I think, in Cheltenham.
Yep.
So I lived there from when I was...
royalty.
Oh, it's royalty. Yeah, but I moved away when I was 9 in 2000, so we moved to Lorne, actually. And until then, obviously, I think I'd been to a couple of Magpies games, but I don't really know, because I was too young and I wasn't really interested. So we moved to Lorne, and there was only footy there, and cricket, and netball, obviously. In country towns, they only have netball and footy most of the time. So I started playing footy, and I started to really like it, and then we moved to Melbourne, and I played for school, and it was a lot of fun. So I started to get really interested, and had to choose a team. I was always a bit Port Adelaide, and because we were good then, I guess I just got more interested and jumped on the bandwagon, especially for 04.
Yep. Absolutely. And what's your favourite match?
My favourite match is, I have to go with the Collingwood final last year. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
I was like exhausted by the time it started because I was nervous all day, and then get to the game and I was almost asleep. But I remember after the game, I saw Boydman after the game just for a couple of minutes, and he just had this surprised look on his face that he was just so shocked that we'd beaten them.
Boydman, what a legend.
How come everyone's seen this Boyd man except for me? Is he noticeable?
Too, yeah.
Is he noticeable at the footy? Does he rant at the footy as well?
He's a nice guy. He talks a lot.
No, he's a nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
We'll have to get him on the podcast, Macca.
Absolutely. I haven't seen him around for a while, actually.
No, we're winning.
I haven't seen him post for a long time.
I think he's a bit of a masochist, and he only likes to come on when we're losing badly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's way more positive now, though, tell you what.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right, let's put a call out to Boydie. We need to get you on the podcast, Boydie.
That's it.
Yeah, get him on. He'd love it, I reckon.
And who's your favourite player?
I thought about this, and my favourite past player is Gavin Wanganeen by a long way. I used to call him Rubber Man, and I absolutely loved him.
Yep.
My mum too, actually. She doesn't like footy at all, but she used to watch just to see Gavin Wanganeen. And these days, I'd probably go with Wingard, but since he's pretty much everyone's favourite player, I thought I'd say Pollock as well. Young Jared Pollock. I love his enthusiasm.
Wow. Two good players.
Two very good players. Yep.
Two great players.
Awesome players.
Best
Fantastic.
recruit of the
And they're
century.
definitely not lurking in the shadows, those two players.
No, they're not.
I've got to change my username, I think.
So, how have you seen the start of this season, Luke?
It's been pretty good, I guess. It's quite a shock, really. I thought there was a chance we could improve, but it's just been ridiculous. Like Robbie Gray, I mean, you can't account for a player just gone from... I mean, he was best 22, but he's just about the best player around at the moment. It's unbelievable. And Jared Pollock and White as well, just huge pickups.
We got the power to win, power to roll, come on. Port Adelaide aggression, we are the power from Port.
Well, look, let's get straight into it. It's Port Adelaide versus Melbourne at Alice Springs. It's Indigenous round. We'll be playing on Saturday afternoon, around about 12:40pm. We've got a 15-11 win-loss record against Melbourne, and we've also won the last 3. What are we expecting from the D's this week?
I think we're expecting a grind. They're going to probably try and flood the stoppages and really try and halt our our ball movement, I'd say, Macca. And
Yep.
I pulled out a couple of stats which I thought might help you guys with a bit of a chat. Bounces, so running, we're averaging 12.7 to their 5.7. So they're obviously playing a very more possession-type, stagnant game plan, which also reflects in their disposals. Their centre clearances, they're down on us. Their clearances are down on us. We outnumber them amazingly in the marks inside 50 by nearly 6 a game. And our contested marks are up against them as well. Yep. So when you look at those sort of key stats, unless they can really maintain possession and have a more superior disposal efficiency, which I don't think they can, it's going to be a tough grind for them, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I would think so. The only stat where they really sort of defeat their opponent is in contested possessions. That's the only one where they're up against their opponent. All the others, they're down. So, I mean, I guess you've probably got to expect that. They haven't really had a great start to the year. I mean, they were pretty dire in the first month. Their last 2 or 3 games have been very good. They've beaten a couple of decent sides in Richmond and Adelaide. But yeah, I think they've got a lot of holes in their team, and they're still trying to come to grips with Paul Roos' coaching and game style, I think.
They're looking a lot better, though. People were saying, are they going to go 0-22? Which I think was a bit silly, but they looked like it, I guess.
Yeah,
but they'll come at us. They'll come at us big time.
Yep.
But as long as we just pressure them, I don't see too much trouble with this one.
Well, it was always going to take a while for them to adjust to Paul Roos' style, and you could tell from the day dot that they were playing a very possession-orientated game style, and they just couldn't work it out in the beginning what they were supposed to do. And you're right, their form in the last 4 weeks has been quite respectable. So it's one of those.
They're coming from a long way back, and their skills aren't up to it. Aren't up to playing Paul Roos' game style at the moment, I don't think, but they'll probably get there in a couple of years' time, I would think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we've shown that, the media gets too hung up on teams being 10 years away from recovery. It doesn't have to be that long if you and I mean, we're great with hindsight now, I guess, but, if you get a good coach that knows the game plan and the play and can articulate that to the assistant coaches and the players, well, then you're halfway there, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and people get caught up in, we're 5 years away or whatever. Doesn't work like that. You just have a good year and you go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they've actually got a very, very good midfield, I think, Melbourne. That's going to be their key to winning. Guys like Nathan Jones is a very good player. Dom Tyson's had a fantastic start to his career this year at Melbourne. Bernie Vince, we all know about him. He's a very good player. Daniel Cross can get heaps of the ball. Matt Jones isn't too bad. I mean, they've got a very good sort of first midfield. Their forward line is pretty deplorable, I have to say. Their only player that averages more than 1 goal a game is Chris Dawes, and he's out suspended this week.
That's hard. Yeah, I don't think they'll get too much done up there. But as long as they just want to pressure us and try and get goals off the ground, I think.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. They're going to just try and grind it out. They're just going to try and slow us down. And Paul Roos identified that on TV earlier in the week on Foxtel that our run and carry is our weapon, and obviously he's going to try and devoid us of that. And I thought Hawthorn probably last week has been obviously the best team so far this year, but I mean, they were so defensively astute with their structures and advanced. I don't see Melbourne in that same category. So I think we should be able to pull them apart. And I'm glad that we're playing at Alice Springs instead of Darwin as well. I mean, if I'm right, the last time we played at Alice was West Coast last year in the pre-season. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, we had that was one of those unexpected wins.
Richmond, wasn't it?
I thought it was West Coast. Because I thought we played Sydney and West Coast last pre-season. I'm getting old timers, Macca. But
it's a president game. Who cares?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the point for me was that I wasn't expecting us to sort of get up over that, and we actually played quite well there. And I've got horror memories over the last 5 years of us and playing in the Northern Territory, especially in Darwin. So I'm going to hang my hat on any sort of good news we've got with the Northern Territory excursions.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not playing there. We always just terrible the next week when we play up in Darwin. Hopefully it's not too similar in Alice Springs. I don't know.
No, well, the weather's supposed to be 22, I think, so it should be a lot more suitable for the Adelaide weather.
Yep. So we made 3 changes to the side. Angus Monfries, Hamish Hartlett and Dom Cassisi come out, either with injury or suspension. Any surprises with the 3 ins? We're seeing Andrew Moore for the first time this year, Jakey Neade for the first time this year, and Paul Stewart for his second game this year.
Yeah, I think they're all surprises, aren't they? I don't know, because I didn't expect any changes, and then suddenly Cassisi and Monfries are out with Hartlett as well. But Stewart you'd expect to come in first, I guess, because he's just always very solid, and he never lets you down, I guess. And Moore's similar to him, actually, I think. But he's been in really good form, hasn't he, in the Sandful?
Moore's been in great form, yeah. He was out suspended last week, so he's coming from a week off, which I guess is handy for him.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised he came in, to be honest.
I thought Newton probably would have got another go ahead of him, but that's all right. It's good to see Andrew back in the side.
Yeah, he was very good last year, especially in the finals. He was solid. So yeah.
I got a feeling Ken's sort of testing our list out a little bit as well, with the players that he wants to have a look at, and probably that's part of the reason maybe why Butcher wasn't called up either. Obviously he's got things that he needs to work on that we all talk about, and but in addition to that, I guess Ken's also this season showing that he's been a like for like sort of selection process this year. So whoever gets injured, that position's being replaced most times. So when you look at that sort of logic, they're pretty respectable changes, and I think Moore deserves his chance. Newton's had a chance, and I'm sure he'll get another chance, but that would probably be the only other one that might have been questionable, maybe Moore or Stewart for Newton to get another opportunity.
Yep. Should this have been the week where Butch came back in the side?
It's hard to say.
I was keen for him. I'm still an advocate. I know some people on the forum this week have been disagreeing with that, I guess, but I'm a big advocate. I think we need another tall up there. I do think Westhoff will probably be the beneficiary from that, from a structural perspective.
Yep.
I could have seen the benefit of maybe instead of Stewart having Butcher in the side to give us that extra tall target. And Sydney's showing us at the moment 3 talls is possible. So it would have been good, but I can see Paul Stewart, the reasons for Paul Stewart as well.
Yeah, I don't know too much about bringing Butcher in, because I saw him against North and he really wasn't very good against North. And if he was going to get dropped for that, I don't expect to see him back anytime soon. But it sounds like he's been kicking a lot of goals, but I think he just needs to be taking big marks and really having an impact to get it. Like, because we're top of the competition, you need to be playing well to get in.
Yep.
And if he just comes in and he needs to do more than jump at packs and things like that, he needs to be taking big marks. And really,
we've certainly been kicking goals. It's just a matter of him actually getting his hands on the ball a bit more and staying in the contest a little bit longer, I think. And as you said, he does need to take a few more marks and really hit the contest a bit harder. I thought this week probably would have been a good week to bring him back in against Melbourne, just to see what he could do, to see how he go with a 3-prong tall forward attack again. But look, Jakey Nee's been in very, very good form as well, and he really does deserve his spot.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see him, and he's really fun to watch, that guy. Yep. I think it's a factor that we're playing in Northern Territory that he comes in as well, because it's his home area, so it's nice to have him come in, and you got to appreciate that we're there to entertain the people there. So
yeah. Plus, he's probably more like for Monfries than anyone else on our list at the moment. So.
Yeah, the question was Sam Gray, I think, was what people were raising, whether him or Sam Gray would come in.
Yeah, I guess, again, it's sort of that list evaluation as well, though, isn't it? Sam Gray's had a bit of a taste. Jakey hasn't had an opportunity from last year, and he's in good form, so give him a go and rotate around and see how everyone's going to go. And I don't have a problem with Jakey. I reckon he's a great player. I loved watching him play last year. I loved his tackles, so hopefully he can deliver that. And I guess the other question is, Macca, we didn't bring in Clory. Like, with part of my suggestion last week, maybe Cleary and throw Jackson forward, but maybe with Melbourne's depleted forward line, maybe that's something they might look at anyway and swing Jackson forward, maybe in a centre half forward a bit more and provide a tall target with Jackson instead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really expect them to line up this way, but they've named 5 tolls in their forward line, Melbourne, at the moment, with James Frawley, Jack Watts, Jeremy Howe, Max Gawn, and Cam Peterson.
How tall's Jeremy Howe? He doesn't seem that tall.
He's about 191, I think.
Oh, okay. He always goes up for big marks, though. It's an exciting player.
That ain't gonna last, because if we bring the ball to ground, we'll just annihilate them. Yeah. We'll just run it out so quickly, it won't be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably not expecting it to get up there very often, so they wanted to be taking the chances when they get them.
So what about Kasisi being out? Is that you think that's being rested for a game or legitimately injured?
He was injured, I think. I don't see why they would take him out otherwise. He's an important player, I think, back there. People bang on about he makes a few mistakes every now and then, but he's really solid, I think.
It could be he's got a few knocks and bruises and they've chosen to rest him and just call it knee soreness.
Mm.
I mean, if you're going to rest players, this is probably, as good a week as any to do it. Dom's had a pretty good start to the year. It's probably the first time he's played, 10 games in a row for a few years, so he's probably deserving of a rest, you would think.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess the question is, if Moore does play really well, as we expect, can Dom get back in the side?
Yeah, I'd expect Dom to come back into the side, no doubt. Just because he's past captain.
That's a really question. Yeah, I don't know. Look, there has to come a time. I think Ken's going to sort of stick with him for the bulk of the year. But look, fingers crossed, Andrew Moore delivers and finally shows us what we know he can do, like he did last year, and actually does put pressure on bringing Kasisi back in the side. But,
I don't think that Moore's necessarily the one that came in for Kasisi, because Kasisi plays in the backlines, and Moore doesn't play in the backlines, does he? So I don't think he'd be first out.
Moore's probably more of a centre square midfielder, but he's done, he plays pretty much everywhere at AFL level. And I guess there has been the thought that, Dom's been in the side because Moore got injured, in round 1 and all that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah, they're similar body shape, I guess, but I think they're quite different players, to be honest. Moore seems to get a lot more of the ball and got a better.
I think a lot of people compare Moore and Dom, sort of similar sort of roles. That inside contested player, sort of extracting it out. So I think that's where the comparisons are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dom really doesn't really do that anymore. He's pretty much played in a back pocket all year, Dom.
Yeah, he has. He's really strong inside, though. He just gets the ball and doesn't get tackled. It's really weird. He's a really good player.
So who are we looking for? What sort of game style are we going to deliver this week? Are we going to? I thought Hawthorn really was fantastic in locking down our run. Do you think Melbourne will be able to do the same?
I think Melbourne will be trying to play possession footy. They'll try and hang on to it as much as possible. They'll be playing a short style of game, and I think they'll be throwing plenty of players back to try and block our space inside 50. So it's up to us to win the ball, which is the number one step in the midfield. That's probably Melbourne's only specialty, is winning the hard ball. So we've got to make sure that our midfielders can do that first. And then getting it inside 50 before Melbourne can sort of set up behind the plate.
Yeah.
So I would hope that that we can really sort of play quite a fast, very attacking style of footy, get it in there very quick, and I hope we go out there with a pretty ruthless attitude this week.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. Just need to go at them, because it's a case of we're the better side, so they need to put us off our game. But if we do the same to them, what are they going to do? They're going to be under pressure and make a lot of mistakes, and we'll just punish them.
Yep.
We're the best side. Are we the best side in the competition for goals from turnovers? I think it's close.
I think we're either first or second. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where it's going to be one, I think.
Yep.
So what about Westhoff? The last, he's dominated against Melbourne in the last previous 5 games, being statistically one of the best. Do you think they've got a player to match up with him, or could this be the game where he might break his little mini rut that he's been going through?
It'll be interesting to see who they really play on him. I mean, normally you would think maybe Lyndon Dunn might get the job. You know, they might throw Jack Watts on him to try and see if he can run with him. Jack Grimes is another. Maybe Jeremy Howe, depending on where he plays as well. But yeah, I mean, he's probably my key player this week, Westy. He really needs to hit the scoreboard. He hasn't kicked a goal in 5 weeks. It's time for him to deliver.
Mm.
Yeah, I hope he has a good game, but he hasn't recently, I guess. He was good last week. I thought he was quite important last week, to be honest. Yeah,
he hasn't been playing bad. He's been playing all right. But he really does need to get into more goal-scoring positions. He's only had 2 scoring shots since round 4, I think.
Yeah, it's weird. Him and Schultz were both really struggling last week, inside 50.
And I guess this is the thought process of maybe we should have brought Butcher back in just to take some pressure off.
Yeah, I don't think he would have added. Like, if they're already struggling and you add him, he'd probably just struggle too, I feel. I could be wrong, but that's my gut feeling.
I'm really keen to watch Jay Kennedy Harris. I don't know about you guys, but I've found him to be a very uplifting player in Melbourne's sort of dark time here this year. He, not because it's Aboriginal round, but he just provides a bit of zip and a bit of spark and enthusiasm to that Melbourne team, and I've really enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah, I haven't seen much Melbourne, but I saw the highlights and I saw him kick a nice goal. But yeah, I don't really know him very well, so I'm excited to see what they look like a little bit, I guess. I'm excited to see if Tom Tyson has a good game. He looks like he's in good form as well.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't rate Tyson, Macca.
No, very much so. Very much so.
I thought you were critical of his, or was it Sheedy from West Coast? You were critical of his kicking down the line.
Sheed. Yeah, it would have been Sheed. Yep.
It was Sheed?
Yep. I think Dom Tyson's a great player. I think his foot skills were quite poor to start the year, but he's pretty much mirrored the same career line as Polek has. He really struggled at GWS to get a game. He's gone back home and has just been lightning ever since going back home this year.
Yeah, and he's playing in a worse side as well, so it's pretty impressive.
Yep. He's finally showing why he was a top 3 draft pick.
We probably shouldn't neglect the fact either that it's Robbie Gray's 100th AFL game this week as well.
Absolutely. What a star.
He's finally got there and got his name on the locker.
I think he's missed something like 70 games of football since his debut season, which is quite incredible, really. He's had a pretty tough run with it. He's had a lot of injuries. It's taken him a while to get going. He had a great year in, I think, 2010. But, this is probably the story of the year, Robbie Gray for us, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a point there where you thought, is this guy going to keep getting injured? And he does his knee, and it looked really tragic. But then he's come back from it, and it's amazing, really.
Yeah, and it was such a horrendous knee injury as well. I mean, that's one of the most, heart-wrenching injuries that I've seen in footy, I reckon.
Yeah.
That was pretty graphic.
Well, like Luke has said, he's one of the form players in the competition, isn't he, at the moment?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
He's the best looking too, so that's a good thing.
He's the best looking.
He's an attractive man, Robbie.
Is he? Yep. I haven't really paid that much attention. I'll make sure I'll have to gaze. I'll have to gaze a little bit next time.
Yeah, he's really good. He's just been unbelievable. His centre clearances are really crucial, and he kicks goals every week. It's amazing.
Yeah, you could put an argument that he might be the second best form player in the AFL behind Gary Ablett at the moment. His start of the season for us has been, amazing, really, and beyond my expectations. So hopefully he keeps it up.
I didn't. You'd have him as a definite top 10 player in the AFL this season to date. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe not second, but definitely top 10.
Oh, it may be equal.
Yeah,
Come on.
just clear best and fairest as well.
This is the Port show, Macca. We're allowed to
True.
exaggerate a little bit. Come on.
True. He's got much nicer hair than Ablett as well. So.
Yep. It's better looking than Ablett as well.
So what about the sub discussion? Who's going to be sub this week? Surely not Aaron Young again.
No, I think it'd be Neade, probably, it looks like. Just because I figured we brought him in, but we've already got a lot of small, fast players, so I'd expect he could be the sub, or who's on the bench? Paul Stewart as well, and
Mitchell.
Yeah, maybe Mitchell then, actually.
I reckon Moore might be sub.
Is he on the bench? He's not on the bench.
No, he's named on the ground,
No, I don't think that really matters.
doesn't it?
No.
I suppose not, but
I probably wouldn't mind Kane Mitchell being the sub.
yeah.
He would have been my next pick. Yep.
What do you think Melbourne's chances are? I reckon they're probably 1 in 10 chance, maybe something like that. Maybe 15% of winning this game. I feel like we're that strong.
I would say a 2% chance of winning. I really don't think they're going to win this game. But in the end, it all comes down to us. I think it's not unfair to say that we're clearly the better team. We've got more experience. We're cleaner with the ball. We're stronger over the ball. We've got better skills, more goal scoring potential, better defense, better midfield. Something really, really drastic is going to have to go wrong for us to lose this game.
Yeah, exactly. But it happens. There's usually one or two.
Yeah.
We're going to lose a game to a team like Melbourne this year, probably. It usually happens. So
No. Yeah, but this is a different team, so hopefully it doesn't.
I don't mean
I'd be
because
pretty
it's Port
shattered.
Adelaide. I just mean the best team usually loses 1 or 2 games to a worse team. It just happens.
I wonder, I think it could be sort of similar to a North Melbourne scenario, maybe if we were to get a few early injuries, which was to deplete our running power, that might give Melbourne a chance. But, to sound a bit arrogant, I just can't give them a chance of winning at all, unless our boys come in monumentally complacent into the game, which I find highly unlikely. They seem to be switched on at the moment. I just think, Melbourne just doesn't have the goods at this point in time or the game plan to come up against us. If we, referring back to those stats earlier, 6 marks inside 50 differential, that's an extra 6 shots on goal from marks, set shots. So if that's Jay Schultz, for example, that's probably an extra 5 goals in our favour. So, and then when you look at the inside 50 stats as well, it's, they're going to be focusing heavily on defence, as Mac has suggested, which means it's going to give us a great opportunity to attack. And we'd have to play pretty dumb football, I think, to really get exposed.
Yeah, they'd need to be lucky. And you get the feeling if they led all day that we could just come back right at the end.
Well, look, let's go on to the big 4 questions. Luca, mate, I might start with you, mate. Whose time is it to stand up?
Whose time is it to stand up? Well, I was wondering about this question. Is it... Because I had 2 that I thought maybe, but I'm going to go with Jasper Pittard.
Damn you!
Pittard. I think he's been making a lot of mistakes, and he needs to cut that out of his game. And that's all I mean by time to stand. I don't think he needs to do too much. I think you'd hope to see him cut out these mistakes that he makes. I think he panics a lot, and he can't deal with that. As well as other players. His kicking just... he makes a bad decision and then his kicking lets him down on top of it. So I think he just needs to know his limits and stick to percentages. What about you guys? Who do you think it's time to
I
start?
think Rick's in tears.
I'm not happy.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
angry.
I love Jasper Pittard, but I just thought he's the one.
He was unfairly criticised for that area last week, where he went for the big swipe.
Which one? He made about 5.
He did not. You know the one. Kane Mitchell sold him into trouble. Gave him a handball where he was hot, and Jasper knew that he couldn't grab it, and he had to just try and kick it off the ground. If he grabbed it, he would have got nailed. But people don't look at it objectively like that. They just want to pick on him and say, we have to have a whipping boy all the time, and I refuse to let him be whipped by us Port supporters. Yes, he had a couple of goals, but we were coming up against a great side. And you know what? If you match up Jasper Pittard and Matthew Broadbent's game last week, There wasn't too much difference between the two, really. But no one's critical of Broadbent.
Yeah, there's not much difference. It's just he makes a couple more mistakes, and they're quite horrid-looking mistakes that you remember them. So yeah, he's a really good. He's a good player. I think he deserves the spot in the side and all that. I just think he's probably the one in the side at the moment who's making the most mistakes.
Don't try and make it up to me and Jasper now. The damage is done. Okay? The hate mail is coming your way. But I think
Luke is going to have to start lurking again in the background.
He is. I think the problem for Jasper is, though, that because he's really actively trying to take the game on, it's that high-risk role where it does lead to him being sort of glaringly exposed by us fans when it doesn't
I'm going to disagree with that, because I reckon when he takes the game on, he's fantastic because he's using his instinct. It's when he sort of doubles back and has a think about it and holds on to it, and you can see the sort of different options ticking over in his mind where he tends to stuff it up.
But maybe sometimes there's nothing up the ground to kick it to.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's that he doesn't have options, or he waits a little bit too long and the options come. But he just panics and he'll get.
This is why I want him on the wing, so he can just run forward, bang, kick it inside 50. Whenever he's played on a wing, he's been just about our best player.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for you up there. But I think he's a good defender. I think he does the job down there.
He's certainly improved in that area. Well, Rick, whose time is it to stand up, mate?
Well, anyway, that was our Jasper segment for the week. So for the fans that would love that. I was honestly going to say Jasper as well, but I'm going to go to his fellow halfback flanker that I mentioned earlier. Broady had a great start to the year, and the last 4 weeks, I think he's really hasn't been overly convincing. Not that I want him dropped, seeing we're travelling so well, but I just like him to increase his performance level to a higher standard where we know that he can operate as one of our main defensive players.
Yep.
So hopefully we can get him out of that sort of fumbly mode and a little bit more confident. And, if we can get both Jasper and Broadbent running the lines convincingly, that's going to be a good sign for us for this game.
Absolutely. No, two very fine calls there. I'm going to say Justin Westhoff. We've already spoken about him a little bit, but he has been playing further outside the forward 50, so he hasn't really had a lot of goal-scoring opportunities. He hasn't kicked a goal since round 4. But I think this week he really needs to sort of push forward and take that scoreboard pressure off of Schultz and really kick a bag of goals this week. I'd love to see him come out and take 10 marks and kick a bit of a mini bag of 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah, I'd love to see him play the way he did against Adelaide, was it? That second quarter.
He's due.
He is due, and I think it's a good time, well-timed call, Macca, because he's done well against Melbourne in recent history, so hopefully he can continue that one.
Yep.
I thought he looked better against Hawthorn than the week before as well, so I think he's coming into it.
Yep. Well, Rick, who is your danger man?
I'm going to take the obvious one. One and only one, Nate Jones. I'd really like to see us negate him. The interesting choice will be who do we play on him. Maybe that might be Andrew Moore's role. I don't know if Kane would be strong enough for Nate, but he's the one that I'd like to target.
Yep, I like that.
I think he plays well every game as well.
Yeah.
I was having a look. He doesn't seem to be much of a barometer for him, at least. But he'll play well.
Mm. What about you, Luca? Who's your danger man?
Well, I haven't seen much of Melbourne, but I had a look at their stats and tried to figure out who plays well when they win and that sort of thing. And I think Dom Tyson is the key here. If we can shut him down, I don't see the rest of them creating enough, because he looks like he creates a lot and he has big games when they win.
That's it. Yep, you've stolen my thunder there, because I've picked Dom Tyson as well. I think the focus is going to be on Jones. Who goes on Jones, I'm not too sure, but he's their key midfielder. And you've also got Bernie Vince on the outside there. He's probably their second best midfielder. I think Tyson could therefore sneak under the radar a little bit. I think he's a very, very good inside mid. He's got improving foot skills and he's capable of getting large amounts of the ball. So he's definitely one that could sneak under the radar and cause us a few issues this week.
Yeah, I was thinking about Bernie Vince. He seems like a bit of. I always thought he was a bit of a match winner. Like he can just turn it on and kick big goals at big moments, things like that. And he's their biggest inside 50 as well, along with Nathan Jones with 4 a game, something like that.
And he's got a good history against Port Adelaide as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Bernie.
That's why I think he's a good player, because he's always good against us.
All right, Luca. The key to winning.
Well, we've just got to pressure on. We've just got to put pressure on all game and stop them from having any space or time to make decisions. And then they'll mess up because they're a young side. They can't deal with that situation as well. So just pressure them, get the turnovers, kick goals from them. As easy as you like. Do the thing we always do, where I think we've taken Geelong's game plan, and I've figured it out this year that you just flood back, and then it's hard for them to score, and you always attack the corridor, so you get the most out of your opportunities when you have the ball. And even if you turn it over in the corridor, because you've flooded back, you can win it back again. So that's what we'll do to them.
Yep. I like it. What about you, Rick?
I think composure, Macca. I just don't want us bombing it in repeatedly into our forward 50, especially if we give Melbourne an opportunity to flood back. So I think if we can have smarter inside 50 deliveries. I'm trying to think of the game, Macca, where me and you were commenting and we weren't happy with the bombing into the forward line. Was it the West Coast game, perhaps? But there was a game where recently
it was Freo.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, it was Freo. You know, it was pretty dumb. And I mean, Melbourne's going to try and play a bit of a Freo-esque sort of game as well. So hopefully we can learn a bit from that Freo game and just be a bit more composed and really think our way through getting into attack and delivering to the right option.
Yep. Well, my key to winning this week is just don't be complacent. You know, I think they've had the extra week off because of the bye. We've got a few changes to our side as well. We've just got to go out there with the right mindset and look to dominate the game from the beginning. If we can get off to a good start, as we have done in the last few weeks, you know, kick the first 3 or 4 goals, get on the front foot, you know, I think we should be in store for a big win.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Good call.
All right, Rick, prediction time. How much is Melbourne going to win by?
Oh, I'm going to take Port by 65 points.
Yep. I like that. Lurker?
Yeah, I had us by 70. I think it's pretty clear that we're going to be way too good.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm going to pick Port by 42 points.
You must be confident if you're picking Port.
I am very confident. We should win. I'm going to pick a conservative 42 points, but I'd really like to see a 10-plus goal win this week.
Yeah, I think it's not too much to expect, honestly.
You'd think this week and next week could do our percentage chances really good.
Yeah, don't get upset if we don't, though. Everyone seems to like the GWS game. Jeez.
No, yeah, but GWS was a bit of a different one, wasn't it? You know, we were in probably the worst place to play football where the players were half frozen. So, you know, we were sort of probably robbed a bit of an opportunity there with the percentage margin, especially with the conditions too. So, look, I'd imagine if it stays dry, there wouldn't be too many excuses for us to really have a reasonable differential. Especially, I mean, if Sydney can beat Geelong by about 90 points at the moment, you know, we should be able to exert our influence, especially over the next 2 weeks, that's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Lurker, thanks for coming on. It's been great to talk to you about Port Adelaide.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks heaps for having me. It's been fun.
Not a problem at all. And Rick, as always, buddy.
You're welcome, mate. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Because there could be something shortly.
Yes. All right, guys. Go Port Adelaide.
Go Port.
On the pair.
The heat's on in the kitchen. Oh, look at this. Play it simple. Good attack from Galapati Carlisle. He left his man. He took them on. He gets the lines. Oh, baby! The finest of white.